Hello everyone and welcome back. Today I have a magical stamp set to show you. This time it is featuring one of my favorite, if not top 3 favorite fantasy creatures, unicorns. Now, I have a set here that I already used, so if you have a brand new set, it won't look kind of like this foggy gray. However, this is just good to know knowledge. Your clear stamps will absorb and get some sort of bleeding shadow from the inks. It's completely normal. All you have to do is just clean your stamps. Make sure you keep them in a cool, dry place. And as always, anytime you use a new ink, always clean it off really good and store it correctly. So this is totally normal, it will happen. However, what I want to show you involves all of my inks, some new tools here, and some old tools as well. I am going to start with this Ranger embossing powder. This is in Bridal Tinsel. It's this really cute, kind of holographic, almost like greens and blues embossing powder. I thought that fit perfectly with the unicorns. My trusty tape glue runner. I've already cut my stamp outlines for where they will be placed, so these were just done on my Cricut. However, these corner pieces here are my little cloud details, and this first cardstock I just cut out by hand. And here I have some vellum. Now, vellum is great for a frosted effect or a light shadowing, and in this case, perfect for clouds. So I just took some vellum, did some simple round little cloud shapes, and I'm going to layer it to have this just a little bit more fun effect to my clouds. In addition, I have 4 different inks here, all by Ranger. I have 4 archival ink pads, and then I have a pigment ink pad in Glacier White. So the pigment ink pad is going to have a bit more wetness to it and will take longer to dry. However, it is still permanent and waterproof, and this is going to be super opaque, meaning a nice saturated covering of white. I have my corner cutter outer. I don't know what the formal title for this is, but this will round the edges of my stamp. Tweezers, X-Acto knife with a brand new blade. These are my Ranger ink blending tools. These are just in little 1-inch rounds, and you can buy a pack of them. They come with just a couple extra little sponges. They have a soft Velcro and the kind of pronged teeth, so that sticks together. These are really good for a airbrushed or gradient tone to them in regards to using them alongside of the Ranger inks. So with that said, it's a little hard to describe, so I'm going to demonstrate for you, and I'm going to show you the versatility of these tools and how they can create a really soft, beautiful gradient color tone or palette or a range, whatever your heart desires. Of course, since I am making a unicorn card, I want pastel, bright, cute colors. I don't want, blacks and grays or browns. I want something that's really bright and vivid. Also, before I forget, these are some little replacement sponges. So my best advice is to use one sponge in tandem to the ink, and you can just pop them off and just wash them with gentle soap and water. That way you don't get any bleeding and you can really prolong the longevity of these tools. Set those off. Now, my 3 inks I have today are Aquamarine, Vibrant Fuchsia, and Majestic Violet. I am going to work lightest to darkest. That's how I learned not only to color, but to blend color. Because a light pigment is not going to oversaturate a darker pigment. So for example, what I mean, and I'm just really pushing into the pad, maybe do a little circular motion, and I get something a little like this. And I think what I'm gonna do, I could go from top to bottom, but let's just start up here. And hopefully this is translating on camera nicely, but this is the effect that you're gonna get. Notice that I'm working in a circular motion. I'm not just stamping onto the paper and I'm not dragging. I'm going in that circular motion because, one, I'm working with a circular sponge. So work smarter, not harder. And two, it's just really going to blend that pigment into the paper. You might be thinking, wow, that took up a lot of space, but I want there to be a little bit of blending going on here. So in order for blending to happen, two colors have to overlap. So that's the name of the game. Put that over there. And this is what I mean by this transitional shade. So it's creating that nice, really light violet. Now, while you're blending, there is something as simple as over blending. No, I'm not lying to make that up. It absolutely happens. Over blending is when you are just going to be working an area too much. So what I mean by that is you can start to see a little bit, the paper will start to give. This is just cardstock. It's not heavy duty watercolor paper. So if you are blending over, rubbing, smudging, you are going to essentially unwork the fibers of the paper, and you will get these kind of white little flecks and teeny tiny rolls of the paper. You don't want that. So if a place isn't working in your favor and you're starting to get that over blended look, move on. All right. I am definitely being very picky about the gradation I have going on here. So if you keep blending and overlaying, the better your color is going to be. But again, you just have to be careful. Even right here, I can just start it seeming to happen, that over blending. But I feel pretty good. Just a little there. Okay. Keep in mind too, I am going to be overlapping, so if there are some edges that aren't quite blended out, I'm not going to worry about it because there's going to be lots going over this. I'm bringing in my foam feet because I want there to be a little bit of a shadow from my white on my vellum. And I'm just lining up to make sure I don't have any hard edges, meaning, for example, if I were off, this sharp edge right here, I don't want that. I think I'm gonna go kind of like that. And since I'm working off of the corner, I can just cut off whatever I don't want. I'm working a little backwards here, but work in a way or an order that best fits you. I'm just gonna place that there for now. I'm not gonna do any attaching because if I change my mind or something isn't lining up the way I want it to, I can go back and change it. Once I stick that down, especially on this blended paper, it's going to actually take away the pigment that you painstakingly sponged on. So always lay your work down first before you make any last minute decisions. So speaking of last minute decisions and me being a hypocrite, I do have a last minute decision. I have brought over my detail blending tools, so these are the exact same as my large circular ones, except teeny tiny. So these come in a pack of 5 and they're double-sided. So let's get these babies open. They come just like this. And it's perfect for getting teeny tiny little edges. All right, when you're attaching anything with vellum, you have to keep in mind that the tape glue runner will show through. It's not a completely translucent vellum, but this tape is going to show through. Liquid glue will also show. So I'm going to follow this solid white. What I mean by that is just like how I can see it here, because that's going to hide any tape. Let's add some color to my unicorns. I'm not going to attach my unicorns yet because I really want this phrase, "I believe in you," in the middle. And with that said, I'm going to be doing a glacier white ink pad. This is, again, my pigment, so it's nice and saturated and opaque. And my tinsel, bridal tinsel, well, in this case, unicorn tinsel, over the stamp. So, fingers crossed, let's see what happens. I've reached the point where I feel like I am done with my unicorn card. I did some old things and some new things. And with that said, I'm really happy with how it turned out. It's cute, it's colorful, it's playful, and it's a perfect sentiment for someone who you believe in, just like unicorns. With that said, we would love to see what you will create next using our stamps. So please hit us with a hashtag #StampWithUs. Again, that's hashtag #StampWithUs on social media so we can be inspired by your next creation. As always, thanks for joining and see you on the next one. Goodbye.